Erwin Rommel was rightly called the Desert Fox for his brilliant handling of the German Afrika Korps during a series of seesaw battles against British Commonwealth forces in the Western Desert in North Africa. Kept permanently short of men, equipment and supplies by Hitler, who foolishly didn't take North Africa that seriously, nonetheless, Rommel had been dispatched to Libya in February 1941 to prevent a complete Italian collapse following a string of British Commonwealth victories.
Unterlegen waren, griffen wir bei Michili am 6. April 1941 an. Ja, wir stießen sogar mit Teilen unserer Streitmacht gleichzeitig nach Derna, dort schon die Küstenstraße in Besitz zu bekommen und dem Feind den weiteren Rückzug aus der Cyrenaica zu verlegen.
A series of grueling desert battles had followed, and by January 1942, Rommel was on the offensive again. Rommel would advance to the Gazala line just west of the city of Tobruk in Libya. The Gazala line was a strong British defensive position. Once through the line, Rommel would advance along the coast road once more into Egypt, aiming for the Suez Canal, Britain's lifeline to its Asian empire. And Rommel was quite unlike most other generals of World War II. His style of leadership was often right up on the front lines, and he required a small but highly mobile high command operations staff. It also required a modest security element to protect it when in the field, and incredibly, Rommel personally created a unique combat force to protect his mobile headquarters, equipped largely with captured British vehicles. It was called the Kampfstaffel, or Kasta for short, and in English could be translated as Combat Echelon. After defeating British Commonwealth forces at El Agheila on the 21st of January 1942, Rommel advanced 400 miles east along the Mediterranean coast to Gazala. He ordered the Afrika Korps to form a Beuteabteilung, or captured material detachment, of battalion strength out of captured British tanks and American tanks in British service. Under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Ramsauer of the 15th Panzer Division, he quickly assembled an impressive number of vehicles. Rommel then placed the Beuter Panzer Company into his new Kasta, or Headquarters Combat Echelon. Rommel knew his headquarters needed tanks, as he was always close to the front, or actually involved in combat, and his two panzer divisions were short of German tanks. Better then to use British equipment than to thin out the tank regiments in his main combat divisions. The vehicles needed to be both mobile and reasonably protected from aerial attack in the desert. In March to April 1942, the Beuter Company consisted of 12 British Mark III cruiser tanks and 2 Mark VI Crusaders. The cruiser Mark III weighed 16 tons and was armed with a 40mm gun, while the Crusader was heavier at 20 tons but with the same caliber gun. On the 26th of May 1942, Rommel approved the addition of a company of motorized infantry named Compagnie von Koenen after its commander, added to the Kasta, drawn from the elite Brandenburg Regiment. Anti-tank and anti-aircraft defense was crucial, and the Kasta received a battery of 10 20mm flak guns mounted in trucks, and an anti-tank battery of 3 50mm packs, and a single 75mm pack. There were also 8 of the dreaded 88mm anti-aircraft guns used in the ground role. Other units in the Afrika Korps also used captured British equipment. A great many trucks and cars were pressed into service, along with captured armoured cars and Bren gun carriers. Due to chronic equipment shortages, both the 15th and 21st Panzer Divisions established small units of captured British tanks. Eventually these units were amalgamated into a single entity that used about 18 British tanks, Matildas, Valentines and Crusaders. Rommel's headquarters utilized 3 captured AEC Dorchester armored command vehicles, huge boxes on wheels that he had taken from British generals in the campaign. Rommel's headquarters protection unit was in effect a powerful little battle group of about 530 all ranks. The Kasta often fought exactly as a small Kampfgruppe, Rommel using it during attacks without reference to nearby German or Italian units. Sometimes Rommel strayed so far forward that he risked death or capture, and the strong Kasta certainly proved its value in protecting him. During the German attack on the British Gazala line shortly after the formation of the Kasta, Rommel, with his headquarters and his escort echelon from the Kasta, was trying to find the reconnaissance battalion of the 21st Panzer Division. Instead, Rommel bumped into 3 British cruiser tanks, which proceeded to destroy his radio vehicle, incidentally another captured British vehicle. Rommel's protection unit had recently acquired a platoon of 4 captured British 40mm or 2-pounder truck-mounted anti-tank guns, known as Porties. They hit the cruiser tanks multiple times, forcing their retirement. "15 minutes later, the rest of the Kasta, closing up behind Rommel in the lead, ran across a British artillery battery also on the march. The Kasta attacked and scattered the British. Capturing a usable 25-pounder gun and its towing tractor, which was added to the Kasta's strength, and knocking out another gun and 3 tractors, plus taking 29 prisoners. Soon the Kasta found itself in the middle of a serious battle. At 2:30 p.m, British aircraft strafed Rommel's headquarters unit, knocking out another captured 8-wheeled British armoured vehicle, the Dorchester command vehicle. Two hours after that, the Kasta was directly assaulted by a strong British attack. The Kasta was protecting Rommel and his staff, who were the headquarters, Panzer Army Afrika. So you can imagine if Rommel had been killed at that point or captured, the entire course of the war in North Africa would have been dramatically affected. The Kasta's German Pak anti-tank guns knocked out 9 British cruiser tanks, 2 armoured reconnaissance vehicles and 2 trucks in the exchange of fire. The next day, 28th of May 1942, Rommel's battle headquarters was attacked by 15 to 20 cruiser tanks. In 20 minutes, the Kasta's 88mm flak battery destroyed 13 British tanks, 3 of which managed to get to within 50 metres of Rommel's headquarters. During the Gazala Line battle, the Germans captured a number of intact Honey tanks. The Honey was the British name for the American M3 Stuart light tank, an effective desert vehicle because of its high mobility, and its 37mm gun was found to be fairly effective against German armour. Rommel had 2 Honeys serving with the Kasta at various times. Rommel never made it to the Suez Canal. He was defeated at the Second Battle of El Alamein in October to November 1942, one of the turning points of the war, and forced to retreat west, pursued by General Bernard Montgomery's Desert Rats. Many more battles followed before the German and Italian forces were bottled up in Tunisia in 1943, by British forces advancing from the east and US forces from the west, ending with the final German surrender in May 1943. The question is, did British Commonwealth forces reuse enemy equipment in North Africa? The answer is yes. In the early days of the campaign, the British were also short of armour, so when 60 intact Italian tanks were captured at Baie de Fomme in March 1941, they were used to equip the 6th Royal Tank Regiment. Needless to say, their thin armour and poor mechanical reliability did not endear them to their British crews. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. Also visit my new audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. Details below. You can also help support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details again in the description box below.